So we'll start with our unit testing. We'll move forward. Yesterday we did the footer part, and we'll go further now. So let's go to this folder and run the npm start, and I'll go again to this folder and I'll run the npm run test. Okay, let's run the localhost 3000. Okay. Yeah, somehow I did some changes in my node, deleted and reinstalled the node, and somehow this test is gone. Okay, second. So today we'll concentrate on the test cases, and this part which is not showing, that I will check and get back to you tomorrow. So why it's not working? Yesterday, it was coming. I was able to see all the, all the things. Let's try to do one thing, but otherwise we will do tomorrow. Let me delete this node module folder. Also, I'll delete. Also, let me delete this. I'll do one thing now, otherwise we'll see tomorrow. I'll delete the yarn lock. I'll delete the node module. Okay, so let's go and do the testing, and we will see this part tomorrow. I'll see after this if it is working, and if it is not, then we'll do this part tomorrow. But at least we'll start some test cases today. Sorry. So let's see. Till this get completed, I will open the important file. So we have tested the header, and we have tested this footer part, that is the 10 task left. So what will happen if I add this followers part inside this footer? So right now footer is only 10 tasks left, but what will happen if I put this followers part also inside this footer, and we'll see what happens, and then how to fix that one. We'll see that one. So right now I have to do page, and inside to do page, this link is inside the to do page, but I will move this link to the footer because it's more looks like a footer. So let's put it into the footer. Okay, so the HRN link will go here. Let's get the link here. So now what I did, I moved the link part inside the footer, and I can see this link is here. Now we will run the test, and we'll see what are the problems we are getting after putting the link, and how to solve the test cases for that. Because test cases will break because I put the link part, and the link part is tied to the React router DOM. If you see this router, so this link part is tied to React router DOM, and link will not work unless we have our code wrapped into the browser router. So once I move the link into the to-do footer, we will see what things are breaking and how to fix it. Okay, now this is installed. I will run npm run test again and see what happens. Okay. Okay, now since I deleted the node module folder, I'm able to see this part. So that's good, but I'm getting this one failed. Why I'm getting this one failed? Because you will see you should not use the link outside the router. So we have used the link in the test case. We have used the link inside this to-do footer, but test case does not know that link should be, test case has a problem because link should be inside the router, not outside the router. But whereas when I try to put the to-do tester, all the render element are having the to-do footer, but no router. So we cannot put the link part or anything related to React Router DOM unless it is wrapped inside the browser router. So when we build the test case for the footer, we should also wrap it. We should also wrap it with this browser router. Otherwise, this will complain that link should be inside the router, not outside the router. So let's do that one now quickly and see how we have to add the browser router, this browser router in the test case. So what I have to do, I have to import the browser router from React Router DOM. I'll say import browser router from React Router DOM. And we have to wrap this browser router to all this to-do footer elements. So let's wrap it. I will wrap this one. Okay, let's wrap all the things. Okay, so I wrapped everything. With the browser router. Then it should work nicely now. Let's check it. So now you will see I'm getting one passed and 3 test passed and 1 test suit passed. And it is to-do footer is 100%. Okay. If I do A, it will test header also. Okay. Right now I'm not able to see the header. That we'll see why it's not coming. But at least to-do footer is 100 here. So just to change in your footer, just put the HRN link. Okay, just put HRN link in the to-do footer. I will give you in the Telegram also. Okay, my Telegram is not working. 1 second. Okay, I gave you in the Telegram chat also footer, and also call this in the test case browser router and wrap to do footer with the browser router. Okay, so just do it in 2 minutes, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Just finish it and let me know once you're done. Is it done? Okay. Let's go further now. So we can write a common function also which will take this browser router part because it's repeating in all the places, but we'll not do that today. We'll do in the end, we'll do some cleanup work and we can do that later. Okay, let's now work on our project. So you will see I have to do input, that is the input box, and then there is a listing which will display what task I have to do. So let's work on the input part first and then we'll do the listing part. Okay, so let's go to the input part. So in the input one, if you go to to-do page, we have to do input here. Let's go to to-do input. And here we will write our text box and we will work on that text box. So let's do something here. So maybe I can say h3 tag add to do task. Okay, so I create this add to do task. Then maybe I'll name this div as class name input container just to know where we are. Input container, and here I will add the input box. First I'll create a form tag on submit. I will call the function add to do. Okay, so this function I will create. I'll create this function. Okay, so I created this function. Now here I'll create the input tag type equal to text, class name equal to input. I'll just put any class name for CSS part, though I will not be putting CSS now. So I will say on change. Better to use this input tag. I can use the text box of the material UI, but for now I'll put this simple input box. And later on we can put that also. So on change, I will call one function and value will be something which I will put some value, and I will also put placeholder, and placeholder will be add a new task here. Okay, so this is my on change. I will call one function. Okay, so this is my input box, and I will also add one button, class name equal to add button, type equal to submit, and here I'll say add to do task. Okay, so this is the basic structure. I will also create the state variable which will take hold of all the whatever the user changes here. So I'll create a state variable called as to do set to do, and here I will say react.useState. Initially it is empty, and inside the add to do I will just put e tag and I'll say e.prevent default, and I'll just right now do console tag only. So whenever someone tries to change text box, I will update the to do value by calling the set to do. So here I'll pass the e tag and I'll say set to do is equal to e.target.value. This is something we did a lot in the React. We get the event and we have to go to event.target.value. So someone changes the input box, I will change the value of to do by calling the set to do. And when someone will click add to do task, right now I'll just console.log of this to do. But now I will also do something when I will try to do this one. Okay, so let's try to run this one. Let's see, it is npm run start Uh, 1 second, what is this? This is test case going on. And here I'll say npm start. Okay. So here you will see I have this add a new task here, and I will go to the console and see what's happening. I can type anything. It's not working because I have not wired this value part. So value part will be to do. Okay, so I can put it when I say add to do task. I see to do value as whatever I have put it here. So basically this form is complete. When I click the add to do task, I am able to call some submit button here, and I'm able to add something in this text box. So this is a simple add form. Now let's go to do page. So what will happen? What will happen when person tries to call this add to do part? This add to do. Sorry, to do add to do. So it should save in some state variable. This to do is something which is affected by the input box. But when I try to save it, there should be another variable which will take hold of all the values which user has put it. So there should be a higher variable which will take this to do and save it in the array. Right now this is only tied to the input box, but we need another state variable which will take each to do and put it in the array. So let's create in the to do page, let's create one variable which will take hold of all the values. So I'll say constant to do's. So this is to do's. That one is to do. So to do's will take all the to do part, whatever user has put, whatever task user has added, and put it in the array of to do's. Here I set to do's. And here we will say create.useState, and this will be the array. So now what will happen? Whenever someone tries to put something in input box, we only update the to do part. But when someone will select the add to do task, then we will put this to do value inside the array of to do's. So I will pass this to information in the add input, to do input. I'll say to do is equal to do's, and set to do is equal to. Okay, I will only send this set to do's, not the to do's. To do's is not needed for now. So I'll send the to do's only in the input box. Okay, and here I will do console.log. Okay. So I'm only sending the set to do's because whenever someone try to add to do, I will call the set to do's, and this is the arrow function, which will say, let's say previous value. So I'll just say previous, and I will return. Since the previous is array, so I will do the dot previous comma to do. Okay, so since this to do is the array, so when returning we should return the array, and this set to do will come here as a props, because I am sending this set to do here as a prop. And whenever someone try to add the task, I call the set to do's, and I take the previous value and return previous and the current to do. So the previous is appended with the current to do. And after that, I will empty this set to do, because we don't need this value. So I'll just do set to do empty value. Okay, so what we are doing, we are taking this to do and putting in the set to do's. And set to do's is here, which will grab the array, and this array will be saved in the to do's. Let's run it and see if it is working. So right now to do's is empty because nothing is saved. I'll put task 1 and click the add to do task. You will see to do task is task 1 and this got empty. Task 2. So we got task 2 here. Task 3 and we got task 3 here. So to do is capturing all the to do part and putting in the array. So this to do has list of all the tasks which user has done it. Okay, so now there is one change here. There is one change here which I will explain you now. So here we are only saving this value to do. But in real world, you will be saving it in the database. So in database, it will not be a simple to do part. It will have ID, it will have date, it will have many things. It will have completed or not completed. So instead of saving it as a simple string, I will save it as an object. And object will be having one, it will be having ID, which I will fix it in a minute. And there will be task. Task is nothing but this to do. And then third will be completed. Since this task is created, so initially it is not completed, so value of the task is false. So in real world, we have something structure like this. It should have ID, it should have task, and it should be completed true or false. Okay, so that way we will save it. Now what should be the ID? ID should be some random number. So we have installed one package called as this UUID. Will take use of this to create a random number or random string generated and put it in the ID. So for that, I will do that import v4. This is how we have to use the UUID from UUID. And this will give me the random number when I call this v4. Okay, so I'm calling this v4. Now instead of putting only simple string, it will save this object. Let's try this one now. So I'll put task 1. You will see to do is the object and it has the ID some random string, completed equal to false and task equal to 1. Let's put another one, task 2. Okay, now we will see we have another ID generated and the task is task 2 and completed is false. So if user will try to add multiple one, we will be going on putting in to-dos array, and that to-do array we will display in the to-do listing. In the add input, we will just try to add it, and to display it, we will send this to-do information in the listing and display it. So before I go further, is this to-do input and this part is clear, the constant to-do and sending this information to the to-do input? Is that clear? So if you want to make ID 1, 2, 3, then you need to create a counter variable and a state variable. And when you add new one, take the previous value of the counter and append it to 1. Okay, if you want to do 1, 2, 3. But here, we just want to do the random one, so we are putting it this one. Otherwise, you need to create the counter value in the to-do page and go on increasing it one by one. So is this part clear of how we do the input? Any questions on this one? I will give you this information in the React Telegram group to do input.jsx. Because this is a simple React which we did a lot, and I will also give the page to do page. Line number 15 on what? Here input, which one? In the to do page. So in the to do page, I pass the to do input. This is the component, which is this component, and I pass this function set to do as a props, where I will receive this as a props here. And when someone will try to add the button, then I call this set to do which is coming from here, because I want to save this to do in the array of this one. So we need to pass this set to do here in the input part. And when someone will try to click the button, we take this to do, create an object, and save it in the set to do's. Set to do's is here. That means it is saved in the to do part. Is that clear? Okay. So we are building input part, and we are also building the array in the to do page. This to do will go in the listing part to display all the information. So actually listing will get this to do's equal to do's, and I will take this to do's array and display the listing using the map in the React. Okay, that will do next lecture, but let's try to finish this input part here now. Okay. Now what will happen? Here I have to show the number of completed tasks. Right now I am doing the hard-coded one. But we have to look through the to-do array, and we have to see which tasks are not completed, and we have to pass that information here. So basically, we will create one more state variable called as the count. So it will be the count and set count. What would this set count will do? This will take all the values. It will take all the values from the to do, and the tasks which are not completed will be passed here in the number of tasks completed. Right now, there is no way I should know that. Right now I can only send this to do dot length to show all the tasks. But I don't want that. I want to pass only the not completed task here. So I'll create another variable called as count and set count. And I'll say react.useState. Initially it will be 0. And I will pass this count information here. So this count is something, it will calculate how many tasks are not completed. That will be passed here. Right now it's saying 0 task left. Even if I'm adding task, it's saying 0 task left, because I only created the value of count, but I'm not updating it with anything. So let's create a function which will take all the to do, and it will see which are not completed, and it will display that in the number of tasks not completed. So let's create one function which will do that part. So I'll create one function called as calculate number of incompleted tasks, and this will take some value, and this value is nothing but the to do one array, and it will go through all the to do list, and it will find which are not completed. Okay, so this function will do like this. So right now I'm just putting wall, but when I call this function, I will pass this to do information, to do's. So right now if you see my console.log, so right now you will see I have 2 tasks, and in both the tasks completed is false. That means both are not completed. Whenever I complete a task, this completed will become true, and it will be removed from this string. Okay, so whatever the tasks are not completed, that means whatever the completed is false, I have to count that, and I have to send this as that task left. So that is the purpose of this function. Let's write down this function and see how many counts we are getting it. So initially I will make count equal to 0. I will go through all the to-dos which is coming in the value form. So I'll say value dot for each, and here I will say record, and we'll check if record dot completed is false. That means if it is not there, I'll put not record or completed. That means the record is not completed. I will increase the count. Okay, I will increase the count. And in the end of the function, I will return the count. So what is the purpose of this function? This function will take to do. It will go through each to do part and it will check if any of this is not completed, that is completed equal to false, then it will add the count plus plus. So initially all the completed will be false and we will be adding in the count one. Okay, so we need to call this function. When we need to call this function, we need to call this function at various places. One of the places we have to call this function is when we try to add anything, we need to update the count also. Another part where we have to call this function is when we try to update any of the tasks, then we have to call this function, which we'll see in the next class. But right now we have to call this in the add component. So I will copy this function and pass it in the input box. So we'll call this here also. So this to do input will get two parameters. One is set to do and one is this function which will be called whenever we try to add any new task, because we need to update this count. Okay, since we need to update this count, so we need to call this function. And once this count is updated, we can also update in the set count. So I can also call the set count equal to count. In fact, we don't need the return value. We will remove the return value because we don't need return thing. We will just update the set count, which is this one. And count will be updated and this count will be updated here in the footer. So what I'm doing, I'm calling this calculate number of tasks whenever a new task is added. So let's call this calculate also here. And whenever we try to add something, whenever we are trying to add something, we will also update this calculate number of tasks. That is what the purpose of this is. Okay, so how I will do this one, calculate number of tasks? I can do in number of ways, but simplest thing will be I will call this as a separate object. So let's put it as an object. So I put this part as an object and I'll take this object and put it here. And I'll take the same thing here. I'll call this function here and I will pass the same information here. That we need to pass this array here also. So no, but previous is not there. Previous is inside this one. So we cannot do this here. Okay, because previous is here and we cannot call the previous here. Okay, can anyone tell me how can I update this? Because previous is inside and this function needs to get all the to do part, that is all this one, all this to do, and it needs that one. Can anyone tell me how will I do that? What should I pass here? How can I update it? Looks like I need this to do information here, which I don't have it. So let's see if this works inside this, and we'll check it if it is working inside it, or if it doesn't, then we need to find some other way. Let's put it here and see. So I put it inside this one and I'll check it if it is working. or not. Let's put this also inside it. And if it doesn't, then we will do some other way of handling it. Okay, let's check this one. Okay, let's put test. So when I did test, this is got added in the to do, and I see one is coming here. So let's try to display this count also. Hold it like this. Okay, so let's try again. It looks like it's working. Let's see. So as we count as 1, count as 2. Yeah, so it looks like it is working, and it is pretty much okay to write this way. So I call this function here in the set to do, and I updated this part inside my set to do. So that looks it is working fine. 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, so this looks good. We are able to update this function, and we're able to call it this function here, and everything looks good, and I'm getting properly this one. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so once we add anything inside with, once we add the to do part, it gets updated in the to dos, and we now have to display this to do part in the listing one. Okay, that's what we have to do it. That we'll do in the next class. Not only next class. Next class we will try to first write down the unit test cases for the to do input, and then we will try to add this to do part inside the listing part. So that's all for today. Any questions? What we did the to do input box, and we checked it is working fine. We are able to add the task, and we are able to see the count, how many are incomplete, means how many we have to complete in future. Okay, so we are getting this all information. Any question on this one? Okay, so that's all.